Learn English through story. The runner who helped his rival. Jake had trained all year for the biggest race of his life. The city championship was his final chance to prove himself before college scouts made their decisions. As he lined up at the starting line, he glanced at his biggest rival, Daniel, the defending champion. The gunshot fired, and they took off. Jake pushed himself harder than ever before, keeping pace with Daniel. They were neck and neck as they rounded the final turn. Just meters before the finish line, Daniel stumbled. His foot twisted, and he collapsed to the ground, pain flashing across his face. Jake had two choices. He could sprint past Daniel and claim victory, or he could help the person who had pushed him to be his best. Without thinking, Jake stopped, pulled Daniel up, and supported him toward the finish line. The crowd gasped. The two runners crossed the finish line together. Jake had lost first place, but when the officials and spectators stood and applauded, he realized he had won something greater: respect, honor, and the true spirit of sportsmanship. Lesson: victory is not just about winning, it's about doing what's right, even when no one expects it. The soccer team that played for a cause. The Lincoln High soccer team was preparing for their biggest match of the season, but something weighed heavily on their hearts. Their goalkeeper, Carlos, had been diagnosed with leukemia. He couldn't play, but the team wanted to do something special for him. Instead of wearing their usual jerseys, they arrived on game day wearing shirts with Carlos's name printed on the back. They dedicated the match to him, playing not just for victory, but for their teammate who couldn't be on the field. The opposing team, Riverdale High, saw what they were doing and did something incredible. They, too, had printed "Stay Strong Carlos" on their warm-up shirts. When the game began, both teams played fiercely, giving it their all. But in the end, it wasn't about the score. When the final whistle blew, both teams ran toward the stands, where Carlos was watching. They lifted a banner that read, "This game is for you, Carlos." Tears filled Carlos's eyes. In that moment, he realized that sports were not just about competition, they were about family, unity, and lifting each other up. Lesson: true sportsmanship is about more than just winning. It's about standing together, even as rivals. The tennis match that changed everything. Leah had always been known as a fierce competitor. She played to win, nothing else mattered. But during the state tennis championship, something happened that changed her forever. Her opponent, Samantha, was a talented but nervous player. The match was tied, and Samantha served the ball, only to twist her ankle and collapse in pain. Leah had the chance to take the point and win the game. Instead, she dropped her racket and ran to Samantha's side. "Are you okay?" she asked, helping Samantha sit up. Samantha nodded, embarrassed. "I don't want to win this way," Leah told the referee. "She deserves a fair match." The medical team allowed Samantha to continue, and despite her injury, she fought back. Leah eventually won the match. But when she saw Samantha smiling, she knew she had earned more than a trophy. She had earned respect. Lesson: a real champion isn't just the one who wins, but the one who values fairness above all else. The baseball player who refused to cheat. Ethan's baseball team had made it to the championship finals, but they were one run behind with 2 outs in the final inning. He was on third base, waiting for the right moment to run home. Suddenly, His coach whispered, "The umpire isn't looking. If you run now, no one will notice." Ethan's heart pounded. No one would know. He could steal home and win the game. But deep inside, he knew this wasn't the way he wanted to win. Instead of running, Ethan waited for a legal chance to score. He played fair. But in the end, they lost the game. As they walked off the field, a scout from a professional team approached him. "You made the right call," the scout said. "We don't just look for great players, we look for great people. I want you on my team." Ethan had lost the game, but he had gained something far greater: his integrity and a future built on honesty. Lesson: winning means nothing if you have to compromise your values to get there. The basketball team that refused to give up. No one believed in the Ridgewood High basketball team. They had lost every game of the season. Every practice ended in frustration. Every loss crushed their spirits even more. By the time the final game arrived, they considered forfeiting. "What's the point?" one player asked. But their coach, Mr. Sanders, stood before them and said, "It's easy to play when you're winning, but true athletes keep fighting even when the odds are against them." So they walked onto the court not to win, but to give their best. They played harder than ever before. With every pass, every shot, every moment of teamwork, something incredible happened. They started closing the gap. The crowd got louder. The scoreboard evened out. With 5 seconds left, their captain took the final shot and scored. The Ridgewood team won their first game of the season. It wasn't a championship. It wasn't a trophy. But it was proof that determination and effort always matter, no matter the outcome. Lesson: true champions are not measured by how many times they win, but by how many times they refuse to give up. The wrestler who chose honor. Liam had been training for years to become the state wrestling champion. Every morning before school, he ran 5 miles. Every afternoon, he pushed himself through grueling workouts at the gym. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but he was determined. Finally, he reached the state finals. His opponent, a wrestler named Nick Carter, who had been undefeated for 2 years. The gym was packed with spectators. The match began, and Liam fought harder than he ever had before. His body ached, his muscles burned, but he stayed focused. Then, something unexpected happened. During a fast move, Nick slipped, and his knee twisted awkwardly. He cried out in pain and fell to the mat. The referee paused the match, checking on him. Liam's coach ran up to him. "Nick is hurt," he whispered. "If he can't continue, you'll win by default." Liam looked at Nick. Sweat dripped down his opponent's forehead, his hands gripping his injured knee. He had a choice: take the easy win, or give Nick a chance to recover. Liam took a deep breath. Then he walked over to the referee and said, "Can we wait? I don't want to win like this." The referee raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" Liam nodded. The crowd gasped. Liam could have walked away a champion, but instead, he waited as the medical team helped Nick stretch his knee. A few minutes later, Nick stood up, nodded at Liam, and the match resumed. It was a tough battle, but in the final moments, Nick pinned Liam to the mat. Liam had lost, but when the match ended, the crowd gave him a standing ovation. Later, as Liam packed up his gear, Nick approached him. "You could have taken the easy win," he said. "But you didn't." Liam shrugged. "I didn't come here for an easy win. I came to wrestle." Nick grinned and extended his hand. You're the real champion today. Lesson. A true athlete values honor over victory. Winning without integrity means nothing. The basketball team that played for a cause. When the Eastwood High basketball team found out their assistant coach, Coach Miller, had been diagnosed with cancer, they were devastated. Coach Miller had been more than just a coach. He was their mentor, motivator, and biggest supporter. Their next game was against Westbrook High, the best team in the league. No one expected them to win. But this game wasn't just about winning. It was about honoring their coach. Before tip-off, the players surprised everyone by stepping onto the court wearing pink wristbands, the color of cancer awareness. When Westbrook's team saw what they were doing, they made an unexpected decision. They ran back to their locker room and returned wearing matching pink wristbands. The gym fell completely silent as both teams stood together in the center of the court, holding hands for a moment of silence for Coach Miller. Then the game began. It was one of the hardest-fought games of the season. Players dove for loose balls, passed selflessly, and fought for every point. By the last quarter, Eastwood was down by 5 points. Their captain, James, thought about how much Coach Miller had believed in them. He took a deep breath, pushed forward, and led his team with everything he had. In the final moments, James hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer that tied the game. The crowd went wild. Although Eastwood lost in overtime, their performance had inspired everyone. After the game, both teams stood together and raised their pink wristbands toward the stands, where Coach Miller watched from the front row. That night, the local news didn't just report on the game's score. They reported on two rival teams who had come together for something bigger than basketball. Lesson. Sportsmanship is not just about competition. It's about using sports to uplift and inspire others. The football player who refused to cheat. Darren was a star quarterback, but his team had been struggling all season. Their final game would decide whether they made the playoffs. With 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, his team was down by 1 point. Then an opportunity came. Darren ran the ball and barely stepped out of bounds, but the referee didn't see it. The crowd cheered, thinking he was still in play. If Darren stayed quiet, his team would get a free chance to score. His coach shouted from the sidelines, "Run the next play. Don't say anything." Darren's heart pounded. He could win the game if he ignored the mistake. But deep inside, he knew it was wrong. He took a deep breath and walked up to the referee. "Sir, I stepped out of bounds." The referee stared at him. "You're admitting that?" Darren nodded. The referee reversed the call. The crowd gasped. His team lost that night, but Darren gained something more valuable than a trophy. The next morning, the headline read, "Quarterback chooses integrity over victory." Later that week, Darren received an unexpected call from a college scout. "We don't just want great players," the scout said. "We want great leaders. Welcome to our team." Lesson. Success without honesty is empty. The best victories are won with integrity. The girl who gave up her medal. Anna had been training for years to win the regional gymnastics championship. After a flawless performance, she was awarded first place. But something felt wrong. She had seen another gymnast, Mia, stumble during her routine not because of lack of skill, but because of a faulty mat. Mia was one of the best gymnasts, and Anna knew that under normal circumstances, she might have won. As the judges prepared for the medal ceremony, Anna took a deep breath and walked up to them. "There was a mistake," she said. "Mia deserves a fair chance." The judges replayed the footage and saw that Anna was right. They allowed Mia to redo her performance. This time, she nailed every move perfectly. Anna stepped off the podium, clapping the loudest when Mia was awarded the gold. That day, Anna didn't win a medal, but she won the respect of an entire community. Lesson: true champions put fairness above their own success. The soccer team that wouldn't give up. The Brooklyn Eagles had never won a championship in their school's history. They had been the underdogs for years. But something changed this season. With hard work, dedication, and belief, they reached the finals. In the last match, they were losing 3-0 by halftime. Everyone thought they were finished. But their captain, Luis, gathered the team and said, "We didn't come this far to give up now." They played the second half with everything they had. Goal by goal, they fought back. In the final seconds, Luis scored the equalizing goal. The game went to penalties, and against all odds, Brooklyn won. They proved that heart matters more than history. Lesson: champions are not those who have always won, but those who never stop fighting. The marathon that changed a life. Noah had never been a runner. In fact, he avoided sports altogether. He was the kind of kid who got out of breath just running to catch the bus. But when his mother was diagnosed with a rare illness, everything changed. The treatment she needed was expensive, and their family didn't have enough money to cover it. One evening, as Noah scrolled through social media, he saw an advertisement for the city's annual charity marathon. The prize for the top fundraiser was a donation toward a cause of their choice. He hesitated. Could he do this? He had never run more than a mile. A marathon was 26 miles. But when he saw his mother's tired eyes as she sat on the couch, struggling to hide her pain, he made a decision. He signed up. The first day of training was a disaster. He jogged for 5 minutes and collapsed on the grass, panting like he had run for hours. His legs burned, his lungs felt tight, and he thought, "This is impossible." But when he got home, his mother smiled at him. "How was your first run?" He thought about lying. Instead, he grinned. "I'll get better." And so he did. Day after day, he pushed himself a little further. His body ached, but he reminded himself why he was doing this. By the time the marathon arrived, he still wasn't the fastest, but he was ready. On race day, Noah stood at the starting line, surrounded by thousands of runners. The gun fired. First, he felt strong, but by mile 5, his legs grew heavy. By mile 10, his feet throbbed with pain. By mile 15, he questioned why he had ever signed up. Then, something incredible happened. A man in his 70s ran up beside him. The man had a prosthetic leg but moved with determination and grace. "You're doing great, kid," the man said, noticing Noah's struggle. "I don't think I can finish," Noah admitted. The man chuckled. "The body will tell you to stop. The heart tells you to keep going." The word stuck with him. Mile 16. Mile 17. Mile 18. Noah kept running. By the time he reached mile 25, the crowd was cheering. Tears filled his eyes when he saw his mother in the stands, waving with all her strength. With one last push, he crossed the finish line. He didn't come in first, but when he checked his fundraising page, he saw that he had raised enough money for his mother's treatment. That day, he realized something important. Winning isn't always about finishing first. It's about finishing what you started. Lesson. True victory is pushing forward, even when every part of you wants to give up. The hockey game that taught a lesson. Liam had always been a tough competitor. As the captain of his school's hockey team, he was known for his aggressive play, win at all costs. His father always told him, and Liam believed it, until the day everything changed. It was the final game of the season. Liam's team, the Thunderhawks, were tied with their biggest rivals, the Frost Giants. With only 30 seconds left, the puck flew toward Liam. He sprinted across the ice, dodging defenders, his heart pounding. This was it, his chance to win the game. As he reached the net, an opposing player, Owen, tried to block him. In that split second, Liam had a choice. He could fake a fall, making it look like a foul to get a free shot, or he could play fair. He thought about his father's words, win at all costs. Then he thought about his own integrity. At the last moment, he chose honesty over trickery. Instead of pretending to fall, he took a clean shot and missed. The game went into overtime, and the Frost Giants won. Liam expected to feel devastated. Instead, something unexpected happened. Owen skated over and shook his hand. That was real sportsmanship, man. His coach patted him on the back. Proud of you, Liam. That was the right call. Even his father, who always preached about winning, nodded. That took guts. Liam had lost the game, but he had won something much greater. Lesson. True sportsmanship is choosing honesty, even when the easy way out is tempting. The gymnast who refused to quit. Sophia had been training for the National Gymnastics Championship for years. She had one goal, to land the perfect vault routine. But just a week before the competition, she suffered a serious ankle injury during practice. Her coach told her to withdraw. You could make it worse, Sophia. Her parents told her to rest. There will be other competitions. But Sophia had worked too hard to give up now. She spent the next week in intensive rehab, icing her ankle, stretching carefully, pushing through the pain. By the time she arrived at the competition, she still wasn't at full strength, but she refused to let fear control her. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and sprinted down the runway. She leaped into the air, twisting gracefully, and stuck the landing. The crowd erupted in applause. She didn't take first place, but she proved something important to herself, to her coaches, and to every young gymnast watching. Lesson. The real victory is refusing to quit when things get tough. The soccer team that taught a lesson. The Redwood Tigers were the strongest soccer team in their league. Their captain, Ethan, believed in playing hard and never backing down. One day, they played against the Blue Jays, a team of younger, less experienced players. The score quickly became 5-0 in favor of the Tigers. Ethan saw his teammates mocking the Blue Jays. They celebrated every goal too loudly, making their opponents feel small. At halftime, Ethan gathered his team. We need to show respect, he said. Winning doesn't mean crushing our opponents. It means playing with honor. The second half, they played fair, passing to their younger opponents and encouraging them. The Blue Jays scored their first goal, and the crowd cheered louder than ever. After the game, the Blue Jays coach approached Ethan. Thank you, he said. You taught our boys that respect is more important than the scoreboard. Lesson. True sportsmanship is showing kindness, even when you're ahead. The boxer who fought with heart. Marcus had one rule: never back down. He had been boxing since he was 10 years old, training every morning before school and every night after homework. While other kids played video games or hung out at the mall, Marcus spent his time at the old, dimly lit gym near his house, perfecting his footwork, his punches, and his endurance. His coach, an old retired fighter named Coach Harris, always told him, "Boxing isn't just about power, kid. It's about heart." Now, 17, Marcus had made it to the Golden Gloves Championship, the most important fight of his life. If he won, he'd be one step closer to his dream, a scholarship to train professionally. But standing in his way was David "the Hurricane" Sanchez, an undefeated fighter known for his ruthless knockouts. The night of the fight, the stadium was packed. Marcus could barely hear his own thoughts over the roar of the crowd. His hands clenched inside his gloves as he bounced on his feet. Warming up. Across the ring, David stood tall, his eyes cold and focused. The referee called them to the center. "I want a clean fight. No cheap shots. No holding." "Understood." Both fighters nodded, touching gloves before stepping back to their corners. The bell rang. David charged first, throwing a quick jab. Marcus dodged, moving to the side. He had studied David's tapes. He knew his patterns. The first 2 rounds were all about survival. Marcus absorbed a few hits, but he countered with sharp jabs, keeping his distance. Every time David came in too aggressively, Marcus slipped away like smoke. Then came the 3rd round. David feinted left and swung a powerful right hook smack. It connected with Marcus's ribs. Pain shot through his side, but he gritted his teeth and pushed forward. No backing down. He countered with a solid uppercut, making David stumble back for the first time in the fight. The crowd erupted. Coach Harris banged the side of the ring. "That's it, Marcus. Keep moving." By the 4th round, both fighters were battered, their sweat mixing with blood. Marcus felt his muscles burning, but he refused to slow down. Then it happened. David rushed in, throwing a fierce combination of punches, but Marcus dodged at the last second. In his eagerness, David lost his balance and tripped, hitting his face against the ropes. When he turned back around, blood streamed from his nose. The referee stepped in, inspecting the damage. "Do you want to continue?" the referee asked David. Marcus took a deep breath, wiping sweat from his brow. He could see it. David was shaken. This was his chance to end the fight quickly. He could go in hard, take advantage of his opponent's weakness, and claim the championship title. But then he remembered something Coach Harris always said. A real fighter isn't measured by how he wins, but how he treats his opponent. Marcus took a step back. Instead of rushing in for the easy finish, he waited, allowing David time to recover. The referee nodded. "All right, continue." David wiped his nose, his breathing heavy. He looked at Marcus and gave a small nod of respect. The fight resumed. David came back stronger than before, throwing sharper, more focused punches. The final rounds became a test of willpower, 2 fighters pushing beyond their limits. In the end, David won by decision. Marcus felt disappointment wash over him as the referee lifted David's hand in victory. But then, something unexpected happened. David turned to Marcus and raised his arm toward the crowd. "This guy," David said into the microphone, "is the real champion tonight. He could have taken the cheap win, but he didn't. That's what boxing is about." The crowd roared in approval. After the match, a talent scout approached Marcus. "You didn't win the fight," he said, "but you won respect. And that's what makes a great fighter." That night, Marcus realized something important. Winning wasn't just about knocking someone down. It was about standing up for the right thing. Lesson: a true champion isn't just the one with the title. It's the one with integrity.